Today we start a new series called Discovering Unexplored China. Throughout the next month, we're going to take you to see some of the most beautiful and impressive places in this country, but ones that aren't necessarily found in traditional travel guides. For this, Noeli and I have decided to split up so we can cover as many amazing places as possible in the shortest amount of time. And the challenge is to see who discovers the most interesting place of all over the next month. And our first destination is Hubei province, which today is very famous because its capital is Wuhan. But to get there, we still have 4 hours on the bullet train ahead of us, so make yourselves comfortable because this is going to be a pretty long journey. Our journey begins on Monday, November 10th at 12 in the afternoon at Suzhou North Station. Nothing is more exciting than starting a trip on a bullet train as the views are always wonderful. The train has to leave now and they squeezed us all in. There's not even room for a soul here. Welcome to Hankou Station in Wuhan. It was inaugurated in 1991 and renovated in 2010, becoming one of the most beautiful stations in the country because of its classic European style. And honestly, it really does look like many stations you find in Europe. I don't know if we'll be able to see it now or if it's just the main facade, but I've been here before and I thought it was beautiful. But anyway, our real destination is about an hour from here because we're going to visit the old pier in the city of Wuhan, because they just rebuilt it to turn it into a very beautiful tourist area that reflects the historical past of this city. But now I'll tell you more. I'm at the hotel already. Look who greeted us. A robot. The robot is taking us to our room and also delivers the food. But it's already something pretty common here in China. It just never ceases to amaze me, especially when they come so well dressed. Time to see the room. Normally at these events there are good rooms. Not bad. Pretty classic, but I like it. Let's check out the view, eh? Well, it's nothing special, but that building is interesting. We need to get ready because today we're heading to our first stop, the old Wuhan Pier. We're finally arriving at our destination. This is my buddy Tavarish. Hi brother, good afternoon, hello friends. This place is called Jiangxiali and it was opened on May 1st of this year, which is exactly when one of the most important holiday periods in this country takes place. And there are a lot of people who travel all over the country looking for the most interesting tourist spots. But as if there weren't enough already, the city of Wuhan decided to renovate something known as the Old Wharf, which used to be one of the most important ports in this city, where trade from all over the country used to take place. And the proposal is quite clear. What the government wanted was to boost the local economy through tourism, but not through investment from outsiders or wealthy businessmen, but through a cooperative project in which the very residents of this area became the main partners. And for that, more than 600 villagers pooled their money to build this place, and at the same time they are the ones who run it. In this way, the locals truly benefit from tourism and the economic boost that these kinds of places bring. According to what I found on the internet, the local salary is between 3,500 and 3,600 yuan, which is practically the same as what workers would have received if they went to work in factories in other cities. The difference is that here they can do it from their own homes and without having to leave their families. And on the other hand, they themselves are the owners of the project, since the local villagers themselves contributed around 38 houses to collaborate with the project. We just witnessed a spectacular performance that reflects the lifestyle in ancient times right here on this very pier. And even though this is an area that has been renovated, it truly respects the original essence of this place, which is the old pier of Wuhan. And that's because the economy of this city used to be tied to commerce, which started right here in this very place. And that's why in the presentation we saw how the dock workers praised the ropes. Pulling the ships that delivered the merchandise was difficult. We also saw local dances and traditional costumes. And when you combine it with such a unique setting, it's a really beautiful feeling. And I'm sure this place is going to blow up on social media very soon. And the thing is, we're talking about a country with 1.4 billion tourists wanting to explore their own country, while at the same time trying to attract tourists from abroad. That's why these alleys, along with those in many other cities, are soon going to be impossible to walk through. That's why I'm telling you that this is the time to come. But the best part is that this is just the first day we're going to spend in Hubei province. Welcome to a new and wonderful day in the city of Wuhan. Today we are in the high-tech development zone of the city, or as it has been locally nicknamed, the Wuhan Optical Valley. This name is inspired by Silicon Valley in the United States, which is where some of the world's most important companies are located. And the same thing happens in this city. In fact, our tour begins at the humanoid robot center behind me. And what I'm seeing through these windows is truly impressive. So join me as we explore it while I tell you a little more about this place. Honestly, Noelia is missing out on an amazing place, because just at the entrance of this place there are about 20 robots lined up that are going to give us a demonstration. Now that the video introduction is over, this is how the humanoid robots are welcoming us. And some of my colleagues decided to participate in a Tai Chi session in which the teachers are actually the robots. But this is just the beginning of our tour through this factory, since there are more than 100 robots on display here, in more than 30 different application scenarios, such as supermarkets, factories, and many other things that we are about to see now. Here we have the 3 development phases of these humanoid robots, and seeing it like this, it's incredible to think about all the micro components needed to assemble one of these robots. But now that I got closer to the shell behind me, I was amazed. Because honestly, I never would have imagined that even in the toes, this robot needs very small chips that help it function. But I was telling my Russian friend, who's single, that potentially one of these could be his future partner. Because they're going to have all kinds of applications, from factory workers to romantic partners for many people. Because in combination with artificial intelligence like ChatGPT, eventually robots will start to express themselves like we do, and will probably be able to simulate something very similar to feelings. But personally, I hope that day is still quite far away. And of course, at the Humanoid Robot Center, they don't have a cafeteria, they have a robo-cafe. I'm not sure how it works, probably for employees, since there's only a code to scan here. But these robotic arms can prepare any kind of drink for you. And even though coffee machines have existed for a long time, a robo-cafe is way cooler. This is one of the most impressive parts of the complex, because it's a robo-OXXO, where there are no attendants or human employees but robots running the entire store. And it's actually the robots themselves who restock the supermarket, do the inventory, and serve the customers. For example, this guy is currently stocking the shelves with fruit, and it's interesting because he can separate the fruits depending on their type. In this case, I think he's being controlled by the girl, but this is just a simple training session. Because the idea is that eventually they'll be completely autonomous and there won't be any need to explain what to do or guide them through the controls. In this case, it doesn't have legs, but wheels instead, but the torso can be adjusted to the height of its needs. Now it's going to hand us a bottle. Look, it's controlling it with these here, and it's going to give us a bottle of tea. Obviously right now it's a bit slow because it's in training, and he told us that after a series of trainings all of this will be completely automatic. Thank you very much, my friend. Cheers. Among the many application scenarios these robots have, one of them is being waiters in restaurants, and it's a task they do quite well. For example, serving water has never been easy. Personally, I always spill it, but he is quite reliable, and I really believe this is the future of the restaurant industry as well as supermarkets. But that's not all. Let's continue with our tour. This is another very real application which will probably hit the market very soon if it hasn't already. And this robot is being trained to be the perfect housekeeper. And it can do all kinds of tasks, from making the bed to arranging your furniture. But remember that these are just the first of many functions for which these robots are being trained. But it doesn't just know how to make the bed, it can also help you in the kitchen. This is the perfect robot for me, since washing dishes is one of the most annoying tasks in my daily life. And contrary to what one might think, this robot has no problem with water, since its hands are completely waterproof and it can wash the dishes without any issues. Look at how it stacks them on top of each other. This is one of the most surreal days of my life. Because a robot just served me coffee. I don't drink coffee, but if a robot serves it to me, I have to make an exception. Now let's see how they work. For that, we need to put on the glasses, probably to get a point of view look at what the robot is seeing. No, I'm seeing like a valley. Oh, well, is it because this is missing, right? If you press this button, you start moving the neck, and with this one you control the hand to open and close it. But it's quite intuitive, because the arm moves following the movements of your own arm. Let's give it a try. Let's see if I don't break something. Okay. And you can also control the wrist, like the movement up or down, and it moves at the same speed as you. It's pretty agile. Let's see if I can grab the bottle. There it is. We've got it. And now let's give it to my buddy to drink. It responds pretty well. I don't know why they moved it so slowly. It can go fast, but since it's expensive technology, we don't want that. Yeah. At the back of the humanoid center, they have the drone factory. For example, behind me we have a drone that can carry water and can be used for planting and in the fields, but it can also be used as a firefighter. And now they showed us some videos in which these drones carry hoses to emergency areas. And they can assist because they reach places where humans couldn't get close because it would be too dangerous. Unfortunately, we couldn't record much in the drone area since many projects are still in development. But they told us that the entire Optical Valley of Wuhan is designated as a low-flying air zone for drone testing. That means that here they are developing the technology and infrastructure so that eventually we can see cities where drones are part of the community. But not only that, in this part of the city you can also find autonomous taxis. In fact, last night I went out to buy some things at the pharmacy, and for that I ordered a taxi. But to my surprise, it wasn't just any taxi, it was one of those impressive autonomous taxis. And something really curious happened to me because suddenly the car went into a very narrow alley where there was an accident, so there was no way to get through. And then I wondered what its response was going to be. Because a human driver in a similar situation would surely have made a U-turn even though it was a one-way street. However, my car couldn't react, and after 10 minutes I had to ask for help from technical support. And they told me it was better if I got out of the car and ordered another taxi. Courtesy of them. So I think they're not going to replace drivers just yet, but that future does seem pretty close. Now they're showing us how drones can clean the windows of buildings, and they really use them for that. But also, they just had a drone put out a fire. Unfortunately, I didn't manage to turn on the camera in time. But they have some impressive applications that can eliminate dangerous jobs for humans. Also, look at how well it does its job. It works with a pressure hose like a Karcher. Now we just saw a delivery drone for emergencies, since this drone can fly very fast. In fact, they told us that in just 10 minutes, this drone can travel 4 kilometers to bring an emergency kit, and it's quite precise. The only thing you have to do to bring it is press a button and the drone automatically takes off, knows its route, and arrives at point B, which would be this one. Look at how precisely it landed, because it has a marked square here, and they told us it can carry up to 3 kilos for 30 minutes. Here it brings the medical supplies. Behind me is what they call a docking station in English, which are actually launch platforms with protective capsules for the drones. But why would they need a launch platform, you may be wondering? Well, the thing is that all these drones are already fully automated and have fixed routes. Therefore, they don't need a pilot to get from point A to point B. In emergencies, that's great. People arrive, load up, press a button, and the drone quickly heads to its destination. In case of accidents, fires, or any kind of emergencies, you can make deliveries in less than half the time it would take to drive a car. In fact, they're telling us that in the case of a 4-kilometer distance, delivering things by car could take around 20 to 25 minutes. Whereas one of these drones would take only 10. We're going to take a selfie with a drone, and the idea is that they put those QR codes in the attractive areas. You scan them and then pay 1 yuan, and the drone takes off and takes the selfie with all your friends. It's a great app for places of interest. We paid our yuan and now it's taking our selfie. There we are, and my friends are waving at the drone. It has many uses, especially in countries like China, where you know the drone won't be stolen when it takes off. It's also very cheap at 1 yuan, about 2.6 Mexican pesos, or just a few cents in dollars. And that way, People don't need to carry drones around to fly them because the drones will already be installed in all the tourist areas. A perfect example of this would be the Great Wall of China, where drones are not allowed. Probably these being automated are safer because they reduce the risk of human error. Here we have something even more impressive, because now it turns out that Chinese cars, instead of carrying storage for bicycles, carry storage for drones. But the most impressive thing is that these drones can take off and land while the car is moving, just by pressing a button that's here on the screen. Look, you press a button here on the screen and the storage area automatically opens. A platform comes out and the drone can take off. Wow. And look, on this car's screen, you can see what's happening with the drone, and you can control it with the car's screen. These are the controls. Here you can land it, you can control the camera, and you can control the drone. Now we're going to start the car and the drone will follow us automatically, but we'll be able to see everything on the screen. Look, now it's asking the drone to go to the side of the car, but it always points at the car. This would be great for people who make vlogs like us, but I don't think we can afford it. Besides the fact that the drone is programmed to follow the car, you can also control it from the screen. For example, to move the drone forward, he presses the button. If he wants it to turn, he has other options here and can control its direction. Obviously, it's a bit more limited in terms of functions because it's specifically made to follow the car. But it can definitely help you record your surroundings. It's impressive because it can fly up to 8 kilometers away, and it also has an amazing zoom. Wow! Here is the flight time. It can fly for about 30 minutes and it shows you all the data, the battery, the signal, and so on. If you get lost or have any problem or need to look for parking, you just fly your drone. For the next stop, we're going to have to take the train because we're heading to a place called Yichang, which is where the Three Gorges Dam is located, which is one of the marvels of modern engineering that you can't miss. And that's why we're at the Wuhan bullet train station, which is impressive, like all the stations in this country. So please be patient with me, because this is going to be a pretty long trip. We're finally in the beautiful city of Yichang, and tomorrow we're going to take a cruise that will take us along the Yangtze, which is one of the most important rivers in this country. But before that, we came to have dinner at a restaurant that I found quite peculiar. At the entrance, there are several tanks, but instead of fish, they're filled with turtles. Look at the little turtles, poor things. I imagine they're from the Yangtze River and they have them here ready to eat. Apparently they're a local delicacy, but I hope they don't serve them to me because I don't think I could eat that.